Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Star Wars channel. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe your day has been long, or perhaps your mind is still wandering through its own little galaxy of thoughts. But now, you're safe, you're here, and it's time to drift into the stars. There's nothing you need to do now but rest. Let your breathing slow. Let your thoughts float like ships in hyperspace, and allow your heart to grow quiet, calm, and steady. Because tonight, we're not just falling asleep. We're traveling deep into the age of legends, to a time when the Jedi were young, when the Sith were ancient and powerful, when forgotten empires shaped the very rhythm of the galaxy. Across ancient temples, star forges, and worlds of light and shadow, this is your peaceful journey through the Old Republic, a place where the Force hums softly and history glows like stardust in the dark. So settle in, close your eyes, and may the Force be with you, always. Fact 1. When the stars first stirred. In the earliest breaths of the galaxy, long before the Republic had a name, the stars shimmered like newborn embers, drifting across an endless sea. There were no Jedi yet, no Sith, no empires to cast shadows or light, only the quiet hum of creation settling into place. Astronomers of later ages would say the Force was already awake then, moving through nebulae and swirling in the hearts of stars like a gentle pulse. It is comforting to imagine that the galaxy began not in conflict, but in stillness. A cosmic inhale before the stories began. And as that silence deepened, the next whisper of destiny rose to meet it. Fact 2. First whispers of the Force. Before any living being could name it, the Force drifted through the galaxy like a soft current. It touched primitive worlds, stirred in the oceans of nameless planets, and brushed against the earliest forms of life. Some creatures evolved with a faint sensitivity to its rhythms, small instincts, a subtle awareness, a sense of the unseen. Those early sensations were like dim lanterns in a vast night. They guided migrations, shaped ancient myths, and hinted at a deeper truth waiting to be discovered. Across countless worlds, the Force breathed quietly, patient and gentle, as if waiting for minds capable of hearing it fully. And in time, those minds began to awaken. Fact 3. The birth of the Celestials. Among the galaxy's oldest mysteries are the Celestials, beings so ancient and powerful that their stories drift between legend and dream. Some say they sculpted star systems with a thought, guiding planets into harmony, like an artist placing stones in a garden. Others believe they were guardians of balance, tending to the flow of the Force long before the first Jedi contemplated its will. Their creations, the grand machines, the impossible structures, still rest in forgotten corners of the galaxy, half buried by time. When travelers stumble upon them, there's often a quiet feeling in the air, like an echo of something wise and immeasurably old. And from those echoes, the next era of the galaxy begins to unfold. Fact 4. The seeds of balance. Long before names like light side or dark side were spoken aloud, the galaxy already carried the quiet tension between calm and chaos. In the drifting clouds of early nebulae, the Force pulsed with both serenity and storm, teaching that creation and destruction were twins born of the same cosmic breath. Ancient philosophers would later say that balance was not an achievement, but a rhythm, something the galaxy itself followed like a heartbeat. Even in these earliest eras, harmony and turmoil wove together in gentle spirals, forming the unseen threads that every future civilization would inherit. And beneath that slow, eternal cycling, the first great powers began to rise. Fact 5. The Rakatan Dawn. Thousands of years before the Republic found its strength, the infinite empire of the Rakata stretched across star systems like a vast, shimmering net. Masters of darkened force traditions and advanced technology, they forged monumental structures and wielded hyperspace routes as if they were pathways of thought. Their cities glowed with power, drawn from ancient star forges, and their influence touched even the most distant planets. Yet for all their might, their hunger for dominance echoed with an emptiness that would one day lead to their downfall. The Force, quiet but unwavering, began to shift away from them, dimming their once brilliant empire. And as that empire waned, new destinies stirred among the stars. Fact 6. Hyperspace. Before memory. Before the Republic charted tidy lanes across the galaxy, hyperspace was a wild, shimmering ocean known only to a few brave navigators. Early routes were discovered not through map-making, but through intuition. Quiet moments when the Force tugged explorers toward safe passages hidden in the swirling veil of light. These explorers spoke of hyperspace like a dreamscape, a realm where time loosened its grip and stars stretched into luminous threads. Their journeys linked distant worlds for the first time, weaving the beginnings of a connected galaxy. In their silent leaps through the unknown, the foundation of future civilizations took shape. And from those pathways, the next chapter of the galaxy's awakening slowly emerged. Fact 7. The fall of the Rakatans. As the ages turned, the once unstoppable Rakatan Empire began to crumble beneath the weight of its own hunger. Their connection to the Force dimmed like a fading star, slipping through their grasp no matter how tightly they clung to power. Worlds they once ruled slipped into silence, their monuments standing empty beneath unfamiliar skies. Scholars later whispered that the Force itself withdrew from them as a quiet act of balance, letting the galaxy heal from centuries of domination. What remained were ruins, half swallowed by forests and oceans, reminders of an empire that burned too brightly for too long. And from those abandoned echoes, new civilizations rose in gentler light. Fact 8. The worlds that endured. In the quiet aftermath of ancient empires, certain worlds carried their stories forward, like embers kept safe through a long night. Planets such as Coruscant, Tython, and Korriban endured wave after wave of upheaval, their surfaces etched with the footsteps of travelers, refugees, and dreamers. Each world absorbed the memory of those who lived upon it, the triumphs, the sorrows, the prayers whispered to sleeping skies. Even now, when one walks their landscapes, there is a faint sensation in the air, as if the past still lingers just beyond hearing. These worlds became anchors for the galaxy's future, holding steady as eras rose and fell. And through their endurance, the next seeds of destiny began to sprout. Fact 9. Shadows in the deep core. Hidden within the turbulent mists of the deep core lay ancient civilizations forgotten by most of the galaxy. Shrouded in gravitational storms and swirling cosmic dust, these worlds developed in near isolation, guided by mysteries untouched by Republic or Empire. Some whispered that strange Force sensitives walked those worlds, learning from spirits of stone and star, far removed from the Jedi or Sith. Their voices never reached galactic records, but their existence added silent depth to the tapestry of the Force, distant harmonies in a chorus few ever heard. Travelers who glimpsed the deep core often described a stillness unlike anywhere else, a profound quiet that touched the soul. And from that quiet, the galaxy edged closer to the age of the Jedi. Fact 10. A galaxy becoming whole. As hyperspace routes stretched across the stars and young civilizations found one another, the galaxy slowly knit itself into something larger than any single world. Trade began as quiet exchanges of food, cloth, and stories, carried on humble starships drifting through the void. Cultures shared songs, symbols, and early understandings of the Force, weaving a tapestry of connection that glowed like starlight between systems. Even though conflict would someday follow, these first moments were gentle, a breath of harmony as worlds realized they were no longer alone. The galaxy, once scattered and silent, began to hum with shared purpose, and into that growing unity, the first whispers of the Jedi stirred. Fact 11. The first sages of Tython. On the mist-covered world of Tython, where storms rolled across ancient valleys, the earliest true sages gathered to study the strange, unseen energy that called to them. These seekers came from distant planets, drawn not by conquest or ambition, but by a quiet pull they felt in their hearts. They found that the Force surged powerfully on Tython, sometimes calm and luminous, sometimes wild and storm-touched. Meditating together, they learned to listen to its rhythms, letting its currents guide their thoughts the way wind guides a drifting leaf. Their peaceful gatherings became the foundation of what would eventually grow into the Jedi Order. And from their teachings, a path of balance began to take shape. Fact 12. Ashla and Bogan. Orbiting above Tython were two moons. Ashla, shining softly with pale light, and Bogan, cloaked in deep shadow. To the early sages, these moons symbolized the dual nature of the Force: serenity and passion, clarity and impulse, harmony and storm. They meditated beneath Ashla when seeking peace, and beneath Bogan when learning to recognize the temptations of imbalance within themselves. These quiet nightly vigils helped shape the earliest philosophies of the Jedi, who believed that to walk in true wisdom, one must understand both moons without falling to either extreme. Their lessons became guiding stars for generations, and under those twin lights, the next steps of the Jedi path were born. Fact 13. The Jedi path. Before the Jedi Order became devoted to the light alone, there existed the Jedi, early seekers who believed balance was the truest expression of wisdom. They walked a path between Ashla and Bogan, learning not to fear the shadows within themselves, but to understand them with calm hearts. Their teachings were gentle and contemplative, emphasizing harmony with the ebb and flow of the Force rather than strict codes or rigid doctrine. A Jedi journeyed through cycles of self-reflection, spending time on each moon when their spirit drifted too far in one direction. Through these practices, they shaped a tradition rooted in awareness and serenity. And from their balanced footsteps, new philosophies slowly began to form. Fact 14. Trials of the Thoyor. Across distant worlds, mysterious pyramidal ships known as the Thoyor appeared. Silent monuments of crystal and stone, humming softly with ancient power. They called to Force-sensitive individuals in dreams and visions, guiding them without words toward their towering shapes. Those who entered found themselves transported to Tython, united with others who had heard the same call. These journeys were not tests of strength, but of trust, a surrender to the Force's quiet guidance. The Thoyor became symbols of destiny, vessels that carried countless beings toward a shared purpose. Some believed they were crafted by the Celestials themselves, left as lanterns along the path of the Force. And through their arrival, the Jedi community grew deeper roots. Fact 15. Meditation in the Valley. On Tython, nestled between rugged cliffs and whispering rivers, lay serene valleys where the Jedi practiced their earliest meditations. They sat among stones warmed by morning sunlight, letting the pulse of the world flow into them like a tide. Here, each practitioner learned to quiet their thoughts until worries dissolved like mist in the dawn. They listened to the currents of the Force as one might listen to distant chimes carried by the wind, softly, patiently. In these tranquil gatherings, bonds form between individuals of many species, cultures, and histories. Through shared silence, they found unity, and in that unity, the future Jedi Order quietly awaited its birth. Fact 16. When balance broke. Though the Jedi long walked in harmony, there came a time when the balance they cherished began to fracture. Storms on Tython grew fiercer, the Force swelling unpredictably as growing differences shaped heated debates among the sages. Some believed the light alone offered clarity, while others felt the shadows held truths that should not be denied. These conflicts were not wars, but quiet fractures, small disagreements that echoed through meditation halls and moonlit gatherings. Over time, the gulf widened until the Jedi path, once unified, became strained by opposing philosophies. And from that strain, a new order slowly began to emerge from the heart of the old. Fact 17. Rise of the True Jedi. As Tython's storms intensified, a group of sages sought shelter not in power, but in peace. They believed that harmony lay not in balancing darkness, but in releasing it, choosing compassion, clarity, and serenity above all things. These seekers became the first true Jedi, dedicating themselves to the light as a guiding star rather than a point between extremes. They constructed temples where philosophy could flourish, where young minds could learn to let go rather than grasp. Their new teachings carried a gentle certainty, a desire to prevent conflict before it could spark. And under their guidance, the Jedi Order began its long, luminous journey across the galaxy. Fact 18. First Jedi Temples. The earliest Jedi temples rose like quiet sanctuaries, carved from stone and bathed in soft sunlight. Built not for grandeur, but for reflection, their halls were filled with open spaces where wind and songbirds moved freely. Students meditated in circular chambers, designed to amplify the serenity of the Force, their voices echoing like warm harmonics through the structure. Lanterns lined the walkways, flickering gently in the evening, creating pathways of light that guided travelers through the night. These temples became havens, not for armies or politics, but for stillness, understanding, and the gentle pursuit of peace. And from these sanctuaries, the Jedi began to carry their teachings to the wider galaxy. Fact 19. The Jedi Order spreads. As the first Jedi temples found their quiet footing on Tython, the Order began to look outward toward the shimmering pathways of the stars. Jedi explorers, humble and curious, journeyed to distant worlds carrying not dominance or doctrine, but a gentle promise of peace. They listened to local cultures, learned their stories, and helped soothe conflicts with calm hearts and reflective wisdom. On worlds suffering from turmoil, Jedi offered not commands, but guidance, a steadying hand in a galaxy beginning to awaken. Each new outpost grew into a beacon of serenity, glowing softly across the map of the Old Republic like lanterns in the night. And from those lanterns, the galaxy's first great network of harmony quietly unfolded. Fact 20. Holocrons of the Dawn. In the early days of the Jedi, knowledge was treasured like a flame in a cold wilderness. To preserve their teachings, the Order crafted its first holocrons, crystalline repositories of wisdom shaped through the Force itself. Each holocron contained voices of calm masters, their lessons whispered across generations long after their bodies faded into the Force. These devices pulsed with gentle light, opening only to those who carried pure intention and patient hearts. Young Jedi often spoke of feeling a soft warmth when holding one, as though the past reached out to guide them toward clarity. Through holocrons, ancient philosophies endured unbroken, and from that preserved wisdom, the next chapter of the galaxy began to shift into darkness. Fact 21. The exiles arrive. Across the void, on a world far removed from Tython's serenity, a group of fallen Jedi stepped into their destiny. Cast out, after embracing forbidden practices, these exiles drifted through hyperspace until they reached Korriban, a planet of crimson sands and whispering tombs. There, they encountered the Sith species, whose fierce culture and innate Force sensitivity resonated with their darker ambitions. The exiles became leaders, teachers, and eventually rulers, blending their own corrupted knowledge with the traditions of the Sith. In time, a new order of darkness took shape, born from wounded pride and ancient hunger. And on that shadowed world, the true Sith Empire began to breathe. Fact 22. The Red Kings of Korriban. Long before the Sith Empire spread its shadow across the galaxy, Korriban was home to the ancient Sith species, tall, red-skinned beings with eyes that glowed like embers in the dark. They lived among towering stone spires and deep, echoing canyons, honoring their ancestors through rituals carved into the very mountainsides. Their society prized strength, passion, and the unfaltering will to endure whatever the harsh world demanded. When the fallen Jedi arrived, the Sith saw in them a reflection of their own fire and welcomed their knowledge of the Force. From this meeting of cultures, a new hierarchy emerged, one that elevated the former Jedi as kings. And beneath those rising thrones, the first Empire of Darkness took form. Fact 23. Darkness finds a home. The exiled Jedi brought with them teachings shaped by disappointment, ambition, and wounded pride. On Korriban, these seeds found fertile ground. As they studied alongside the Sith species, new philosophies began to bloom. Ideas that embraced passion as power, conflict as a forge, and emotion as a path to strength. The red deserts and shadowed tombs of Korriban magnified these beliefs, humming with the energy of countless generations that had already danced close to darkness. Slowly, the blend of Sith instinct and Jedi knowledge became something potent and new. From this fusion, the foundation of the Sith Order solidified like cooling obsidian. And through that solidification, the first Dark Lords began to emerge. Fact 24. The rise of Ajunta Pall. Among the exiled Jedi who embraced the ways of Korriban, one figure stood at the forefront. Ajunta Pall, remembered in echoing legends as the first Dark Lord of the Sith. His presence was described as quiet yet commanding, a calm voice capable of stirring storms within the hearts of his followers. He shaped the early Sith Empire with a vision built on dominance and liberation, a belief that the Force's true nature was meant to be seized, not obeyed. Though centuries have blurred the details of his reign, his tomb still rests in the Valley of the Dark Lords, steeped in silence and ancient winds. And from his legacy, countless other Sith would rise to claim their own dark destinies. Fact 25. Forging of the Scepter and Sword. In the early reign of the first Dark Lords, the Sith crafted relics infused with their will, artifacts that shimmered with the intensity of their ambition. These early Sith weapons were not ordinary steel, but creations born through alchemy, meditation, and ritual. Ajunta Paul's own blade was said to hum with a tortured energy, shaped not only by his hands, but by the emotions he poured into it. Other lords forged scepters, talismans, and amulets meant to channel their power or amplify their command over the Force. These relics were more than tools. They were echoes of their maker's spirits, lingering long after their bodies turned to dust. And from these ancient forges, the identity of the Sith grew sharper and darker. Fact 26. First Sith Empires. With the exiles now enthroned and their knowledge blended with the fierce tradition of the Sith species, the first Sith empires rose like storms across the Red Sands. Their cities were carved from volcanic rock, illuminated by fires that burned day and night within great ceremonial halls. Statues of dark lords watched over their people with expressions carved in eternal defiance. These early empires were less unified nations and more sprawling dominions, each ruled by powerful lords who competed as fiercely with one another as they did with outside threats. But their shared belief in strength and the intoxicating allure of darkness bound them together. And as their might expanded, the galaxy began to sense the stirring of a long-shadowed age. Fact 27. The Valley of the Dark Lords. On Korriban, deep within the planet's sun-scorched deserts, lies the Valley of the Dark Lords, a vast canyon lined with monumental tombs carved into blood-red stone. Each tomb honors a Sith Lord whose life was marked by passion, power, and an unyielding pursuit of mastery. Wind drifts through the valley like a whispering choir, carrying fragments of memories from eras forgotten by most of the galaxy. Travelers who walk its paths speak of a heaviness in the air, as though the stones themselves remember every triumph and betrayal. It is a place where silence feels alive, where history watches from the shadows. And from that haunting valley, the legacy of the Sith continues to echo across ages. Fact 28. The Code of the Sith. In the quiet chambers of early Korriban, the Sith gathered to etch their beliefs into words that would endure long after their empires rose and fell. The Code of the Sith spoke not in whispers of peace, but in declarations of passion, power, and liberation. To them, emotion was not a burden, but a guide, a fire that cleared the mind and strengthened the will. These lines, recited in meditation halls carved into the stone, shaped centuries of Sith philosophy. Yet even in their fierce conviction, there was a strange tranquility, a stillness found in absolute purpose. Their code became a lantern for those drawn to darkness, and from that lantern, countless paths of shadow began to stretch across the stars. Fact 29. Alchemy of Shadows. Among the most mysterious practices of the early Sith was their dark alchemy, an art of shaping matter, life, and even the Force itself. In dimly lit workshops filled with swirling incense and humming crystals, Sith alchemists experimented with metals that pulsed like living veins and creatures altered through rituals of power. Some forged armor that resonated with their emotions. Others crafted monsters to serve as guardians of ancient tombs. Their craft was not merely science, but a melding of intention and raw will, bending the natural world into forms that reflected their inner turmoil or ambition. These creations endured for millennia, haunting ruins and forgotten worlds. And from each twisted relic, echoes of ancient power still linger. Fact 30. The Lords Who Dreamed of Eternity. As the early Sith explored the depths of the dark side, many became consumed by a single, overwhelming desire: to escape the quiet pull of time. They sought rituals that stretched life, preserved spirit, or granted power beyond mortal limits. Some hid their essences within talismans. Others bound themselves to tombs where their presence remained long after death. A few succeeded in ways both wondrous and tragic, leaving behind whispers that drifted through corridors of stone. Even in sleep, it was said, these ancient lords dreamed of eternity, their ambitions echoing like distant thunder. And from those dreams, the galaxy braced itself for the first true war between light and shadow. Fact 31. War of Light and Shadow. As the Jedi Order expanded across the stars, and the Sith Empire deepened its dark foundations, the galaxy slowly approached its first great clash between the two philosophies. At first, these encounters were distant and sporadic, brief sparks between wandering Jedi seekers and ambitious Sith warriors. But over time, tension gathered like storm clouds across hyperspace lanes, each side sensing the other as a reflection distorted by the Force. When battle finally came, it was swift and devastating, shaking the quiet corners of the galaxy and leaving scars on worlds that had once known only peace. Yet even in the chaos, some Jedi spoke of hearing a deeper rhythm beneath it all. And from that rhythm, the long struggle between light and shadow truly began. Fact 32. The 100-Year Darkness. Among the earliest and most devastating schisms was the 100-Year Darkness, a conflict born from the beliefs of Jedi who hungered for power and knowledge beyond the Order's gentle teachings. These fallen Jedi explored forbidden techniques, crafting monstrous creations and wielding abilities that bent the Force in unnatural ways. The war that followed stretched across generations, its battles echoing through forests, deserts, and starlit voids. Many Jedi were forced to confront former friends, feeling the heaviness of sorrow even as they raised their blades. When the conflict finally ended, the victors mourned the cost, knowing the balance had been shaken. And in the wake of that sorrow, the seeds of the Sith's future rise quietly began to grow again. Fact 33. The Great Hyperspace War. Long after the 100-Year Darkness faded into legend, the Sith Empire resurfaced with a force the galaxy had not expected. The Great Hyperspace War ignited when a miscalculated hyperspace jump revealed the hidden heart of the Sith to Republic explorers. What followed was a storm of fleets and fire, crimson warships emerging from hyperspace like burning phantoms, and Jedi rushing to defend worlds now trembling under the weight of invasion. Though the Republic eventually pushed the Sith back, the conflict left entire systems changed, their skies scarred, their histories rewritten by fear and resilience. In the quiet that followed, the galaxy realized it had only glimpsed the true depth of the Sith's ambition, and from that glimpse, the next era of struggle slowly began to unfold. Fact 34. Old Republic mobilizes. In the wake of the sudden Sith assaults, the Old Republic, long a symbol of peaceful cooperation, found itself facing the reality of galactic war. Senators spoke in hushed tones beneath tall, echoing chambers, their voices tempered by worry and resolve. Fleets were assembled, their ships gleaming like silver constellations against the void. Soldiers trained in quiet determination, guided by the steady presence of Jedi guardians who had long served as peacekeepers rather than warriors. The Republic did not hunger for battle. It simply understood that survival sometimes required courage wrapped in calm purpose. As starships departed from Coruscant, the galaxy held its breath, and through that breath, the struggle between hope and fear began to sharpen. Fact 35. Naga Sado's Gambit among the Sith. Lords who rose during the Great Hyperspace War, none cast a longer shadow than Naga Sado, a master of illusion and ambition. From his hidden fortress on Karshian, he manipulated both enemies and allies with visions woven through the Force, phantoms of fleets, ghostly armies, and battles that existed only in the mind. His gambit was bold: to overwhelm the Republic with fear before the true Sith forces even arrived. And for a time, it worked. Worlds trembled at the sight of illusions so convincing they seemed carved from real fire and metal. Yet power built on deception is fragile, flickering like a candle in a storm. And when those illusions faltered, the Sith Empire's fate shifted with them. Fact 36. The Fall of Korriban. As the tides of the Great Hyperspace War turned, the Sith found themselves pushed back to their ancient homeworld. Korriban's crimson valleys echoed with the thunder of battle, dust rising in plumes as Republic forces advanced. The once proud tombs of the Dark Lords watched silently as defenders fought with fierce desperation. But even the strongest blades cannot halt the weight of destiny forever. When the smoke finally cleared, Korriban lay abandoned, its cities emptied and its empire scattered into the void. Only the tombs remained, silent, patient, waiting for future generations to rediscover the stories carved into their stones. And from that desolation, the Sith began their long exile into darkness. Fact 37. The Long Interlude. After the Great Hyperspace War faded into memory, the galaxy drifted into a time of quiet rebuilding. Systems scarred by conflict began to heal, their people planting new crops, repairing old starports, and sharing stories meant to soothe rather than divide. Across the Republic, a soft sigh of relief spread like morning light, bringing the promise of gentler days. Jedi traveled again, not as warriors, but as guides and healers, helping worlds rediscover balance. Yet beneath this peace, faint tremors of future upheaval lingered, distant and subtle, like ripples moving beneath a calm lake. For though silence had returned, history rarely rests forever. And from that silence, new powers slowly stirred awake. Fact 38. Warriors in bronze and gold. During this interlude, the Republic's armies evolved into disciplined forces, clad in bronze and gold armor that gleamed beneath foreign suns. These early soldiers were not bred for conquest, but for protection, custodians of a fragile peace stitched carefully between the stars. Their armor was ceremonial as much as practical, adorned with symbols representing unity and resilience. When they marched, it was with the steady, measured cadence of individuals who understood the cost of past wars. The Jedi, walking among them, provided calm counsel and quiet strength, reinforcing the belief that peace was a treasure worth defending with unwavering hearts. And beneath their watchful presence, the galaxy exhaled, unaware of the storm approaching. Fact 39. Rise of the Mandalorians. Far beyond the comfortable heart of the Republic, on the rugged world of Mandalore, a warrior culture was sharpening its resolve. Forged in trial and tempered by endless conflict, the Mandalorians honed their skills with quiet devotion, believing strength to be both purpose and heritage. Their armor, later iconic across the galaxy, was born from practical necessity, shaped to withstand hostile landscapes and ferocious beasts. As clans united under powerful leaders, their gaze turned outward toward the stars that glittered like distant challenges waiting to be conquered. To the Mandalorians, War was not chaos. It was the truest expression of honor. And as their fleets prepared to rise, the galaxy unknowingly moved toward another age of fire. Fact 40. The Mandalorian Wars. When the Mandalorians finally cast their gaze toward the Republic, the galaxy felt the tremor long before the first battle erupted. Their warriors swept across the Outer Rim with disciplined ferocity, conquering world after world in the name of honor and challenge. Many planets, unprepared for such relentless assault, fell like leaves carried by a violent wind. Yet even in their conquest, the Mandalorians fought with a code, a belief that only through struggle could one spirit be truly tested. As the war grew, the Jedi watched with heavy hearts, sensing that intervention might ignite a greater blaze. And in that hesitation, destiny waited for one young Jedi to step forward. Fact 41. Revan's Path awakens. Among the Jedi who witnessed the suffering of the Outer Rim, Revan stood apart, brilliant, compassionate, and unwilling to let indecision silence justice. Haunted by the cries of worlds overrun by Mandalorian fire, Revan believed the Jedi had a responsibility to act. His voice rose in council chambers like a sharp wind, cutting through uncertainty. And when the Order chose restraint, he and his closest friend, Malak, made a choice of their own. Gathering volunteers and followers, they journeyed into the war-torn territories, determined to meet the Mandalorian threat head-on. Their departure marked a turning point in history, the beginning of a hero's rise and a tragedy yet to unfold. And as Revan's fleet departed, the galaxy shifted in ways no one could yet see. Fact 42. The Masks of War. On the front lines, Revan and Malak became the driving force behind the Republic's resurgence. Revan wore a mask taken from a fallen Mandalorian warrior, a symbol of resolve, sorrow, and the weight of leadership. Through countless battles, he devised strategies with almost uncanny precision, turning the tide of the war and inspiring hope where despair had settled. Yet with every victory, the darkness of war pressed closer, whispering temptations born from exhaustion and necessity. Malak, always close at his side, felt the same pull, a quiet urging toward power strong enough to end all suffering. And, in the shadows of their triumphs, a new destiny stirred, one that would soon carry them far from the light. Fact 43. The Jedi Civil War. In the quiet aftermath of the Mandalorian Wars, the galaxy hoped for rest, yet rest did not come. Revan and Malak, changed by the dark wounds of battle, emerged not as returning heroes, but as conquerors touched by shadow. They declared themselves Sith Lords, wielding the power of the Star Forge and gathering followers who believed in their fierce, uncompromising vision. Jedi were forced into heartbreaking choices: to stand against former friends, former mentors, even former hopes. Worlds burned beneath fleets once sworn to protect them, and through it all, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath in sorrow. And from the deepest edge of conflict, one final turning point quietly approached. Fact 44. The Star Forge ignites. The Star Forge, a relic of the ancient Rakatan Infinite Empire, hung in orbit above the tropical world of Lehon like a dark steel moon. Fed by the energies of the dark side, it produced endless fleets, weapons, and machines, each forged in the shadow of unrestrained hunger. Revan and Malak used this power to reshape the galaxy, channeling the Forge's overwhelming output into a war that seemed unstoppable. Yet the Forge paid no mind to strategy or morality. It only amplified the emotions of those who controlled it. And as fear, anger, and ambition grew. The machine burned ever hotter, its glow spreading like a storm across the stars. And within that storm, redemption and ruin began to interlace. Fact 45. A galaxy in ash and quiet. When the Star Forge was finally destroyed, and the last echoes of the Jedi Civil War faded, the galaxy seemed to fall into a deep exhale. Ruined fleets drifted like silent shadows through space, their metal husks reflecting the soft light of distant suns. Worlds ravaged by years of conflict began the slow process of rebuilding, their people planting hope like fragile seeds in scorched soil. The Jedi Order, wounded but enduring, looked inward to mend its fractures and rediscover its purpose. Though scars remained across countless systems, a fragile peace settled like a blanket of calm across the galaxy. And in that quiet, new legends began to stir on distant horizons. Fact 46. Revan's shifting legacy. Revan's story became one of the most whispered tales of the Old Republic, a tapestry woven from heroism, tragedy, and the quiet possibility of redemption. Some remembered Revan as a brilliant general who saved the Republic from annihilation. Others spoke of a fallen Jedi who brought the galaxy to its knees. Yet beneath these opposing legends lay a deeper truth. Revan was shaped by compassion as much as power, by doubt as much as certainty. In the quiet moments between battles, Revan wrestled with the same questions that stir within every soul. What is the right path, and who decides? His legacy drifted through holocrons and campfire stories alike. And within those drifting echoes, countless future Jedi sought their own reflection. Fact 47. Bastila Shan's gift. Bastila Shan, a young Jedi with golden brown eyes and a will as steady as a temple stone, played a pivotal role in the fate of the Republic. Her rare gift, battle meditation, allowed her to influence entire fleets, calming allies and clouding the resolve of enemies with gentle waves of the Force. Yet behind her remarkable skill rested a heart still learning to balance devotion, emotion, and duty. Bastila carried burdens heavier than many twice her age, standing at the crossroads of war, love, and destiny. Her choices shaped the arc of Revan's path, illuminating moments of hope where darkness threatened to swallow all. And from her strength, a deeper harmony began to shimmer through the galaxy's wounds. Fact 48. Jolee Bindo's quiet wisdom. Far from the rigid halls of the Jedi Council wandered Jolee Bindo, a hermit whose laughter carried the warmth of someone who had made peace with life's many contradictions. Living in the shadowed forests of Kashyyyk, he tended to the world's ancient Rasher roots and listened to the soft hum of the Force with a gentle, knowing smile. Jolee believed that wisdom came not from strict codes or absolute answers, but from humility, humor, and the courage to admit one's mistakes. To those who traveled with him, he offered stories that soothed the spirit, each woven with insight disguised as casual conversation. And through his quiet teachings, the galaxy learned that balance can sometimes be found in a simple chuckle beneath the trees. Fact 49. Carth Onassi's loyalty. Carth Onassi was a soldier shaped by loss, yet softened by an unwavering resolve to protect those he cared for. His voice carried the steady warmth of someone who had weathered storms, but still trusted in the light beyond them. During the Jedi Civil War, Carth's loyalty became a quiet anchor, a presence of calm amid the shifting tides of betrayal and uncertainty. He piloted his starships with sure hands, eyes always scanning the horizon, not just for danger, but for hope. Beneath his armored exterior lived a heart determined to believe in redemption. even when the galaxy seemed to drift toward shadow. And from that steady belief, others found the courage to rise again. Fact 50. Darth Malak's iron will. Where Revan's path was a tapestry of doubt and discovery, Malak's became a stark road of conviction forged in the fires of war. Tall, imposing, and determined, Malak sought strength with a singular focus that often eclipsed the softer truths of the Force. His cybernetic jaw, a reminder of betrayal and survival, lent him a fearsome presence that echoed through the halls of the Star Forge. Yet behind the armor and the booming voice lay the remnants of a student who once sought justice beside his closest friend. Malak's journey was a tragic descent, shaped by wounds he never allowed himself to heal. And in that descent, the galaxy learned how easily resolve can become obsession. Fact 51. Darth Nihilus, the Hunger. Among the ancient Sith who emerged after the Jedi Civil War, Darth Nihilus stood apart like a shadow cast from some darker, older realm. He was not merely a man, but a wound in the Force, a presence defined by insatiable hunger. Worlds fell silent beneath his touch, their life energy absorbed into the void where his spirit drifted. His mask, stark and haunting, became a symbol of emptiness given form. Jedi whispered his name with sorrow, not fear, for Nihilus embodied a fate no soul should suffer, becoming consumed entirely by the darkness one sought to master. And from that chilling echo, the galaxy was reminded that the dark side's promises often lead only to silence. Fact 52. Darth Sion, the Undying. Darth Sion was a being held together not by flesh, but by sheer determination and pain. His body, shattered long ago, continued to move through the galaxy only because his will refused to release its grip. Every step he took was a quiet defiance of mortality, bones grinding, wounds reopening, yet never allowing themselves to mend. In this tortured existence, Sion found a strange form of strength, believing suffering to be the only true path to power. Yet behind his burning eyes lingered an unspoken sorrow, as though he longed for a peace he could no longer reach. And from his aching footsteps, the galaxy learned that endurance without healing becomes its own cage. Fact 53. Darth Traya, the Betrayer. Darth Traya moved through the Force like a whisper, calm, deliberate, and impossibly wise. Once a Jedi Master, she was cast aside for questioning truths others refused to confront. In the shadows, she collected broken students and hidden knowledge, weaving them into philosophies that challenged both the Jedi and Sith. To Traya, the Force was not a guide, but a current that shaped destinies without mercy. Her voice could soothe as easily as it could shatter, laced with the quiet sorrow of someone who had loved deeply and lost even more. She was mentor, betrayer, visionary, and exile all at once. And through her teachings, the galaxy glimpsed the Force from angles rarely spoken aloud. Fact 54. Mitra Surik. The exile Mitra Surik carried silence within her, a wound in the Force created when she chose compassion over orders during the final battle of the Mandalorian Wars. That moment, meant to save lives, severed her connection to the Force, leaving her wandering through a galaxy, recovering from scars she helped create. Yet her gentleness never faded. Though burdened by guilt, she sought to mend rather than to conquer, gathering lost Jedi and broken souls into quiet companionship. Her journey became a testament to resilience, the idea that even when the Force falls silent, one's heart can still listen to the whispers of hope. And from her resilience, the galaxy began to heal its fractures, one gentle step at a time. Fact 55. The Lost Jedi. After the tumult of the wars, the galaxy felt strangely hollow, and so did the Jedi Order. Many Jedi had vanished into distant corners of the stars, seeking solitude, forgiveness, or clarity. Some hid on forest moons, where sunlight filtered through endless leaves. Others wandered barren worlds, where the wind spoke in long, lonely breaths. These lost Jedi did not abandon their vows. They simply needed time to understand the wounds carved into their spirits. Their absence echoed through the Order, like soft, empty notes in a familiar song. Yet the Force continued to touch them gently, waiting for the moment they would return, renewed and ready. And from their long wanderings, wisdom slowly began to drift homeward. Fact 56. The Mandalore who returned. Among the shifting tides of the era rose a Mandalorian leader who sought not conquest, but renewal. Wearing armor etched with the scars of battles past, this Mandalore traveled across his fragmented people, unifying clans with a steady voice and a clear vision. He understood that honor meant more than war, that strength required purpose, and purpose required unity. Many Mandalorians, weary from losses and longing for identity, followed him with respect rather than fear. Under his guidance, ancient traditions were revived, and the future of Mandalore found a new anchor. Even those who once opposed the Mandalorians could sense the quiet dignity in his resolve. And from his leadership, a culture began to rise again from the ashes. Fact 57. The Jedi Council of Old. In the high chambers of the Jedi Temple, where sunlight spilled through towering windows, the Jedi Council of the Old Republic deliberated with calm precision. These masters were scholars and guardians, historians and healers, each carrying unique wisdom shaped by years of contemplation. Their voices were soft but firm, like wind moving through carved stone corridors. They debated philosophy, guided young knights, and listened for tremors in the Force that rippled across the galaxy. Though they were not infallible, their decisions were made with sincerity, always striving toward balance and compassion. Their presence became a steady beacon amid uncertain times. And from their watchful guidance, the Order steadied itself for the challenges still to come. Fact 58. Knights of the Outer Rim. Far from the bright heart of the Republic, Jedi Knights stationed along the Outer Rim lived quieter, humbler lives than their counterparts on Coruscant. They patrolled lonely hyperspace routes, mediated disputes between remote colonies, and listened to the local stories told by farmers, traders, and wanderers beneath starlit skies. These Jedi learned to read the Force in subtler ways, in the hush of a desert wind, in the tremble of a frontier moon, in the small kindnesses exchanged between strangers. Their work was seldom recorded in archives, yet their presence brought a gentle balance to places often forgotten by the galaxy, and through their serenity, distant worlds felt the touch of hope. Fact 59. Smugglers of the Silver Lanes. While Jedi walked their quiet paths, smugglers raced along the shimmering trade routes known as the Silver Lanes, a web of hyperspace corridors threading through the fringes of the Republic. These pilots flew patched-up freighters held together by stubbornness and luck, carrying cargo not always approved by law. But beneath their roguish exteriors lived hearts shaped by long nights, spent in the glow of instrument panels and the hum of hyperdrives. Many smugglers saw themselves as caretakers of forgotten worlds, delivering medicines, supplies, and hope to places large merchants overlooked. Their ships glided like lonely comets through star-lit emptiness, and from their quiet journeys, countless small lives were changed. Fact 60. The Archivist's Lamps. Within the Grand Jedi archives glowed lanterns that never dimmed. Small, elegant lamps, crafted to symbolize the enduring flame of knowledge. Archivists moved through the halls carrying these lights, illuminating shelves of ancient holocrons, scrolls, and star charts older than the Republic itself. Their work required patience and reverence, for they tended to not just information, but memory, the galaxy's collective story. In the quiet hush of the library, they deciphered forgotten languages, restored fragmented recordings, and preserved teachings meant to guide generations yet unborn. The warmth of their lamps cast gentle reflections across polished floors, calming all who entered. And from their dedication, the wisdom of ages remained alive and accessible to all. Fact 61. Senators of the early Republic. Long before the Senate became a sprawling beacon of political intrigue, its earliest members gathered as humble representatives of newly connected worlds. They met in circular chambers of polished stone, speaking with quiet respect as they shaped the early foundations of the Republic. Many traveled great distances to attend, arriving by modest starcraft and carrying with them the hopes of small settlements, frontier moons, and ancient cultures. Their debates were slow and thoughtful, illuminated by soft lantern light rather than the glare of publicity. Though disagreements arose, these senators believed deeply in unity, in the idea that the galaxy could become stronger through cooperation rather than conquest. And from their gentle diplomacy, a fragile peace began to weave itself across the stars. Fact 62. The navigators of hyperspace. Before astromech droids and precise star charts guided the journeys of travelers, hyperspace relied on a rare and gifted group, the navigators. These individuals possessed an uncanny, almost instinctive sense of the currents hidden within hyperspace, feeling safe routes the way others might feel a breeze shifting in the air. Some were mildly attuned to the Force. Others simply had a talent, born of countless hours spent watching starfields drift past cockpit windows. Their presence made long-distance travel possible, carrying explorers, diplomats, and wanderers to worlds the galaxy had never touched. They read the stars like ancient books, each point of light a familiar word, and through their guidance, the galaxy slowly unfurled into something vast and connected. Fact 63. Doctors of the Force. Amid the Jedi Order were healers known as Doctors of the Force, gentle practitioners who devoted their lives to mending both flesh and spirit. They worked in quiet chambers filled with warm light, where the air often smelled of herbs and soft incense. Their hands hovered gracefully over wounded bodies, channeling the Force like a cool stream flowing over heated stone. These healers listened as much as they acted, understanding that the mind and heart often needed soothing as urgently as the body. Their presence brought calm to war-torn fronts and comfort to weary travelers seeking refuge in temple halls. And from their compassion, peace blossomed in places touched by suffering. Fact 64. The Warriors of Iridonia. On the rugged world of Iridonia, Zabrak warriors trained beneath storm-heavy skies and jagged cliffs carved by relentless winds. Their lives were shaped by resilience, taught from childhood to face hardship with calm determination. Many who left their homeworld carried this quiet strength with them into the wider galaxy, serving as defenders, explorers, and Jedi Knights. Their tattoos, often intricate patterns of lineage and personal triumph, were more than decoration. They were maps of experience etched onto skin. Though fierce in battle, Iridonian warriors valued discipline over fury, purpose over chaos. Their presence in the Republic's history offered a reminder that strength could be steady, focused, and deeply rooted in pride. And from their footsteps, the galaxy felt the echo of unwavering resolve. Fact 65. Children trained in silence. In the early Jedi Order, younglings were raised in serene training halls, where soft wind chimes whispered through open archways. These children, gathered from distant worlds, learned to meditate before they learned to wield a blade. Their lessons began with stillness, listening to the hum of the Force, the rhythm of their breath, and the quiet thoughts drifting through their minds. Masters guided them with gentle voices, encouraging patience and self-awareness above all else. The younglings practiced simple exercises with wooden training sabers, moving slowly, gracefully, like dancers tracing ancient patterns. Their innocence and curiosity filled the temples with warmth, and from their gentle beginnings, the promise of future guardians blossomed like morning light. Fact 66. Tython, world of birth. Tython, cradle of the earliest Force traditions, lay bathed in shifting shades of mist and sunlight. Mountains rose like ancient guardians, their peaks wrapped in swirling clouds, while luminous forests whispered with energies older than memory. Here, the Force surged with a presence so vivid that even the untrained felt its quiet pull in their hearts. Pilgrims walked its winding paths, seeking understanding, and Jedi Masters meditated beneath its towering trees, listening to the planet's steady pulse. Storms sometimes swept across its valleys, wild, electric, and alive, mirroring the turbulence of the Force itself. Yet moments of deep serenity followed, settling over the land like a soft blanket of peace. And from this sacred world, the Jedi Order carried its light to the stars. Fact 67. Korriban, world of shadows. Korriban lay beneath a copper-red sky, its sands whispering ancient secrets with every shifting breeze. This world, once the cradle of the Sith species, pulsed with a dark, solemn energy that settled into the bones of anyone who walked its valleys. Jagged cliffs rose like broken teeth from the desert floor, and deep tombs carved into the stone glowed faintly with the remnants of rituals long forgotten. Travelers spoke of feeling watched, not by the living, but by the heavy memories that lingered in the air, echoes of ambition, fury, and unyielding will. Yet in its silence, Korriban held a strange beauty, born from the weight of history, and from its shadowed depths, countless destinies of darkness began their slow unfolding. Fact 68. Dantooine's quiet fields. Far from the intensity of Korriban's red deserts rested Dantooine, a world of soft winds and open meadows where early Jedi enclaves took root. Wildflowers swayed beneath gentle suns, and rivers wound through golden grass like silver threads stitching the land together. Here, young Jedi trained in simple stone courtyards, their minds attuned to the calm rhythms of the Force flowing through the fields. The enclaves were modest, small clusters of buildings crafted to blend with the landscape, yet they held an unmistakable serenity that soothed weary travelers. Dantooine's peaceful beauty offered a refuge for reflection, a reminder that the galaxy's heart could still find harmony amid turmoil. And from those quiet fields, many Jedi found the clarity needed to continue their journeys. Fact 69. Coruscant before towers. Long before skyscrapers pierced its skies and endless traffic lanes hummed with life, Coruscant was a simpler world, a sprawling cityscape still growing into its destiny. Early settlements clustered around gleaming lakes and wide plains, gradually rising into stone and metal structures that reached toward the stars. People gathered in open markets lit by lanterns, sharing stories beneath warm night air. The Jedi Temple, in its earliest form, stood as a modest sanctuary rather than the massive spire it would one day become. Coruscant felt alive with potential, a place where countless cultures mingled gently like streams converging into a mighty river. And from this humble beginning, the galaxy's future capital slowly awakened. Fact 70. Ossus, Library of Light. Ossus was a world where knowledge blossomed like a living garden. Soft winds carried the scent of old parchment and blooming orchards, drifting through long corridors of the great Jedi library. Scholars wandered among countless shelves carved from pale stone, their fingertips brushing lightly over scrolls, holocrons, and ancient artifacts gathered from across the galaxy. Sunlight filtered through high windows, illuminating dust motes that danced like quiet stars suspended in golden beams. The air hummed with the gentle presence of the Force, inviting reflection and learning. Jedi journeyed to Ossus not only to study, but to breathe in the deep serenity that lingered in its halls. And from this sanctuary of thought, wisdom radiated outward into every corner of the Republic. Fact 71. Ziost's Frozen Secrets. Ziost lay under a mantle of cold, its forests of black stone veined with pale frost. Once a seat of Sith power, the planet held its past beneath layers of silence, as though the land itself wished to bury the memories it carried. Ruins slept beneath drifting snow, and abandoned citadels stood like dark sentinels against the wind. Those who walked Ziost's haunted plains reported feeling the weight of countless unseen eyes, remnants of a time when Sith lords held court in icy fortresses and shaped their will upon the galaxy. Yet in the planet's stillness, there was a strange calm, a frozen, breathless peace, untouched by the fury that once ruled there. And from that quiet cold, the echoes of forgotten empires lingered like distant winter storms. Fact 72. Malakor's Silent Stones. Malakor was a wound in the Force, a world where stillness felt heavy, as though the very air mourned. Towering stone spires rose like broken monuments, their surfaces etched with ancient runes and shadows. Long ago, a catastrophic battle had unleashed devastation so profound that the landscape turned to jagged obsidian, frozen in shapes twisted by unimaginable energy. The silence there was absolute, pressing against the ears like a memory too painful to speak aloud. Travelers who dared set foot on Malakor felt the sorrow embedded in every shattered ridge, as if the planet itself remembered the cries of those lost. And from this desolate quiet, the galaxy learned the true cost of power without restraint. Fact 73. Lehon, lost among waves. Far beyond the usual hyperspace lanes, past storms that hid its presence from most travelers, lay Lehon, a world of turquoise oceans and scattered islands crowned with ancient ruins. Here, the Rakatan Star Forge once cast its shadow, its remnants now softened by wind and tide. Palm trees swayed beneath warm suns, their leaves whispering stories of civilizations long vanished. Crystals glimmered beneath the waves, reflecting light like scattered fragments of memory. Though the planet held a dark history, its present was peaceful, almost dreamlike, a place where the sea washed away old scars. Those who visited spoke of feeling the Force moving gently through the water, and from its quiet shores, ancient mysteries continued to fade into calming blue horizons. Fact 74. Onderon's Moonlit Skies. Onderon was a world where wild forests met towering cliffs, and moonlight spilled across the land like soft silver paint. The city of Iziz rose proudly within a natural fortress of rock, its lights glittering against the night as beasts called from the wilderness beyond. Beneath the serene glow of Shun, its jungle-covered moon, life pulsed with both harmony and danger. Long ago, these twin worlds shaped warriors, sages, and rulers whose destinies intertwined with the Republic's history. Travelers often described Onderon's night air as alive, filled with the hum of insects, distant roars, and the gentle chorus of wind moving through ancient trees. And under those moonlit skies, countless stories of courage quietly unfolded. Fact 75. Terrace. Before the fall. Before war cast its shadow upon Terrace, the world was a bustling tapestry of culture and class, layered into shimmering tiers that reached toward the stars. Air cars drifted between tall spires, their lights reflecting on polished surfaces that gleamed like distant constellations. In the upper city, gatherings filled grand plazas with music and conversation, while below, markets buzzed with merchants offering rare spices, strange curios, and laughter shared between strangers. Yet beneath the prosperity, small tensions flickered, soft warnings of imbalance waiting to grow. Still, on calm nights, the planet's oceans glowed faintly blue, and the skyline shimmered with hope. And from that hopeful glow, Terrace continued its delicate dance upon the edge of destiny. Fact 76. Mandalore the Unbroken. Before Mandalore became known only as a warrior world, it was a place carved by struggle and shaped by perseverance. Its deserts stretched wide beneath copper skies, and its great plains echoed with the thunder of beasts running in untamed herds. Among these harsh lands rose leaders who carried both the burden and pride of their people. Mandalore the Unbroken stood as one such figure, a symbol of survival and unity after eras of conflict. Under his guidance, scattered clans found renewed strength, embracing honor not only through battle, but through rebuilding, tradition, and resilience. The forge fires of their communities glowed warmly at dusk, illuminating armor polished with care. And from those glowing hearths, Mandalorian culture continued to endure like an unyielding flame. Fact 77. Ilum's Crystals of Light. Hidden within a realm of frozen storms stood Ilum, a world sacred to the Jedi, wrapped in shimmering layers of ice and starlight. Beneath the planet's crystalline caverns lay kyber crystals, each one singing softly with its own distinct resonance. Jedi initiates traveled to Ilum in silent groups, guided by Master's calm voices and the steady thrum of the Force. Within the caverns, they walked alone, trusting intuition to lead them to the crystal that called their name. The air sparkled around them, illuminated by natural prisms of refracted light. In this quiet, children became Padawans, their sabers forged not from steel alone, but from clarity and self-discovery. And from those sacred crystals, future guardians carried the galaxy's hope in their hands. Fact 78. Nar Shaddah's Endless Glow. Nar Shaddaa, the smuggler's moon, shimmered like a floating metropolis suspended in eternal twilight. Neon signs flickered from towering spires, casting hues of emerald and violet onto narrow walkways crowded with life. Traders haggled in sing-song voices, droids hummed through shadowed alleys, and starships glided between stacked platforms like metallic fireflies. Though crime and chaos drifted through its levels, the moon also held pockets of warmth. Taverns where weary pilots traded tales, marketplaces where strangers shared food, and rooftops where the endless glow made the stars appear strangely close. Nar Shaddaa was a world of contradictions, both restless and oddly comforting. And from its neon haze, countless adventures quietly began. Fact 79. the Barandu sages. On the storm-swept world of Dorian lived the Barandu sages, mystics who listened to the Force not through battle or politics, but through weather, rhythm, and intuition. They stood upon high cliffs, while roaring winds curled around their robes, learning to anticipate storms by sensing the subtle shifts in atmospheric energy. Their wisdom was soft-spoken, carried in quiet teachings shared through generations. The sages valued contemplation and inner balance above all, believing that the Force revealed itself most clearly in moments of stillness. Many Jedi visited Doran to learn from them, finding comfort in their gentle approach to life. And from the sages' serene guidance, new ways of understanding the Force drifted across the galaxy. Fact 80. The Miraluka's Sight of the Soul. The Miraluka were a people without physical eyes, yet they saw more than most beings ever could. Through the Force, they perceived the world in flowing silhouettes of intention, emotion, and essence. To them, the galaxy appeared as a shimmering tapestry of life, each presence glowing with its own gentle signature. Their homeworld of Alpharides bathed in soft starlight, a place where architecture and nature blended in graceful harmony. Miraluka society valued empathy, community, and spiritual clarity, and many found natural homes within the Jedi Order. They taught that true sight came not from the eyes, but from understanding. And from their luminous perception, the galaxy learned to view the Force with deeper compassion. Fact 81. Temples lost to time. Across forgotten star systems lay ancient temples built by civilizations whose names had faded into dust. Some rested within jungles, overgrown with vines that whispered in the twilight breeze. Others sat half-buried beneath shifting dunes, their stone corridors glowing faintly with lingering energy. Jedi explorers walked these ruins with quiet reverence, tracing fingers over worn carvings that depicted rituals, star maps, and philosophies long abandoned. Sometimes, a soft hum of the Force still echoed through the halls, like the memory of a song carried on from distant centuries. These temples were not warnings or trophies. They were reminders that the galaxy had always been shaped by seekers. And from their silent stones, new discoveries continued to awaken beneath the stars. Fact 82. The Qua and their infinity gates. Long before the Jedi or the Sith shaped the galaxy's destiny, the Qua walked among the stars as peaceful architects of wonder. Their blue skin shone softly beneath the sun, and their eyes reflected the patience of beings who understood the deep currents of time. With knowledge gifted by the Force, the Qua built towering structures known as infinity gates, shimmering portals that bridged distant worlds like softly glowing threads. Yet as eras shifted and dangers grew, the Qua sealed their gates, choosing to protect the galaxy from powers too great to control. Their numbers faded, but their temples remained, sleeping beneath vines and starlight. And from those quiet ruins, whispers of an ancient stewardship drifted through forgotten corners of the galaxy. Fact 83. The Zepho and their stone guardians. The Zepho were a contemplative people who communed with the Force through wind, stone, and ritual. On their homeworld, towering statues shaped like serene guardians lined mountainsides, their carved faces softened by centuries of storm and silence. Zepho sages listened to the Force not as a river of light or shadow, but as a breath carried across rolling plains. They meditated on high terraces, watching clouds drift slowly over valleys shaped by time. When darkness eventually touched their society, the Zepho withdrew into secrecy, leaving behind temples filled with puzzles, murals, and quiet echoes of their philosophy. Travelers who entered these halls often felt a calm presence guiding their steps, and from those lingering echoes, the galaxy sensed the humility of a vanished people. Fact 84. Ach 2, the first refuge. On the distant world of Ach-2, cliffs rose sharply from a restless sea, their heights crowned with ancient huts arranged in deliberate meditative circles. It was here, in this secluded sanctuary, that some of the earliest Jedi sought refuge when the galaxy's conflicts grew too loud. The wind carried the scent of salt and stone, while gentle wave song echoed against weathered steps carved into the rock. Porgs chirped softly from grassy ledges, and lanterns flickered in cozy dwellings that watched stars rise over endless water. The serenity of Achto offered a stillness found rarely elsewhere, a place where the Force hummed like a calm tide within the heart, and from this peaceful solitude, the first seeds of Jedi tradition found room to breathe and grow. Fact 85. The Eing Ti monks of the Rift, tucked within the twisting mists of the Cathol Rift, lived the mysterious Eing Ti, beings who viewed the Force not as light or dark, but as an infinite spectrum of colors flowing through all things. Their crystalline monasteries clung to the sides of sheer cliffs, glowing faintly like lanterns suspended in a violet haze. The Eing Ti used the Force in ways the Jedi scarcely understood, bending space to teleport across vast distances with a single breath. Yet despite such astonishing abilities, they remained humble wanderers, guided by curiosity and quiet reverence for existence. They believed the galaxy was a tapestry woven from countless possibilities, each worth honoring. And from their rainbow philosophy, new perspectives of the Force shimmered across forgotten star charts. Fact 86. The Jedi Journeyers. Before Jedi and Sith existed as rival orders, there were the Jedi, seekers who walked the balance between passion and serenity on Tython's hallowed soil. Their lives were devoted to learning through exploration, wandering from temple to master different aspects of the Force. Journeyers carried simple packs, wooden staffs, and hearts open to wonder as they traveled sunlit canyons, mist-wrapped forests, and volcanic plains glowing beneath night skies. They meditated beside crystal pools, trained under ringing waterfalls, and studied ancient scrolls etched with wisdom, both fierce and gentle. To the Jedi, imbalance was a teacher, not an enemy. And from their mindful footsteps, the foundations of future orders quietly took form. Fact 87. Ashla and Bogan. On Tython, the Force stirred so powerfully that it manifested in two distinct moons. Ashla, glowing pale and serene, and Bogan, dark and brooding in its orbit. The Jedi believed these celestial twins represented the natural ebb and flow of the Force, harmony and conflict, calm and storm, creation and transformation. When a Jedi lost their balance, they traveled to the moon of Bogan to reflect in solitude, learning from their inner turbulence. When clarity was restored, they returned beneath Ashla's gentle light, carrying newfound insight. These practices shaped early philosophies that would later inspire both Jedi and Sith teachings. And from the dance of these twin moons, the galaxy first learned that balance was not an achievement, but a journey. Fact 88. The Force Hounds of the Rakata. Long before the Republic took shape, during the reign of the Infinite Empire, the Rakata employed beings known as Force Hounds, hunters trained to sense and capture individuals strong in the Force. These hounds moved through ancient starships with quiet precision, guided not by maps or instruments, but by the subtle vibrations of living energy across the galaxy. Their armor was dark and minimal, designed for speed, and their senses were sharpened through harsh conditioning. Yet some hounds, even amid the cruelty of their masters, sensed the deeper harmony of the Force and questioned their purpose. The galaxy remembers them as shadows before dawn, harbingers of an age when the Force was still untamed. And from their silent pursuits, the early tides of destiny began to shift. Fact 89. The First Great Schisms. As the Jedi and early Jedi traditions evolved, philosophical differences slowly grew into deep divides. Some believed the Force should be approached with strict discipline, others with freedom and unrestrained exploration. Over centuries, these disagreements formed the first great schisms. Quiet at first, like cracks gently widening in a mountainside. Some seekers left Tython to follow their own paths. Others challenged their peers in debates that lasted days beneath the sunlit spires of early temples. Though these disagreements were not wars, they carried emotional weight, shaping the future of the Jedi Code. Each schism added nuance, hardship, and clarity to the philosophies that followed. And through that slow refinement, the Jedi began becoming what the galaxy would one day revere. Fact 90. The Pilgrims of Jedha. On the desert moon of Jedha, pilgrims from countless worlds gathered to seek enlightenment beside temples glowing with the soft brilliance of Kyber energy. Robed figures walked in gentle silence across dunes outlined in silver moonlight, their footsteps forming trails that vanished with the morning winds. Jedda's narrow streets filled with whispered prayers, soft bells, and lanterns shaped like tiny stars, each carried by a traveler searching for harmony. The guardians of the wills offered guidance, watching over sacred sites with quiet devotion. Here, the Force felt close, not fierce or demanding, but warm, like a hand resting over a weary heart. And from Jedda's sacred sands, faith radiated outward into the farthest edges of the galaxy. Fact 91. Holocrons of Warning. Among the Jedi archives rested holocrons that did not soothe or instruct, but warned. These ancient cubes shimmered with a dimmer light, their crystalline edges humming with the heavy memories of past conflicts. When opened, they projected the calm yet weary voices of long-gone masters, sharing lessons carved from loss. How arrogance had once clouded judgment, how compassion had been forgotten in moments of fear, how the dark side often arrived not as a storm, but as a whisper. Students listened in hushed circles, letting the stories settle like gentle rain upon their thoughts. These holocrons were not meant to frighten, they existed to remind. And from their somber wisdom, the Jedi learned to walk more carefully beneath the vastness of the Force. Fact 92. The Silent Choir of Deralia. On the remote world of Deralia existed a rare tradition. The Silent Choir, a group of Force-sensitive singers who communicated not through words, but through harmonized emotion. Their voices carried no sound, yet those nearby felt waves of calm, sorrow, joy, or clarity flow through the air like soft pulses of light. Travelers describe the experience as standing within a dream, the world around them slowing, their breath deepening, their hearts easing. The choir performed in open groves surrounded by gently glowing plants, each member swaying with the rhythm of their shared intention. Though the Republic seldom documented their existence, their influence touched many wandering spirits. And from their silent songs, the galaxy remembered that the Force could speak without ever forming a word. Fact 93. The Seers of Voss. Deep within mist-covered mountains lived the Voss mystics, seers whose visions of the future were neither sought nor controlled, but received with humble acceptance. Their world glowed with bioluminescent forests, where orange light drifted between branches like wandering souls. Mystics meditated beside sacred fires, seeking only balance within themselves, so they could interpret their visions clearly and without fear. Unlike the Jedi or Sith, they viewed the Force as a guide that revealed only what was needed, never more. Their predictions shaped the destiny of their people, carving paths of harmony through uncertainty. Travelers who visited Voss often left with hearts strangely lighter, touched by the mystic's calm certainty. And from their glimpses beyond the present, the galaxy learned patience before action. Fact 94. The Watchers of Bendu Peak. On a remote world wrapped in lavender mists, stood Bendu Peak, a towering spire of stone where a quiet sect known as the Watchers kept vigil. They were neither Jedi nor Sith, but contemplatives who believed the Force flowed like a great river, neither light nor dark, but endlessly shifting. Wrapped in simple robes, they climbed narrow stairways carved into the cliffside, their lanterns flickering softly in the twilight. At the summit, they sat cross-legged upon smooth stone, listening to the wind echo between distant mountains like ancient breaths of the Force itself. They recorded their visions not on holocrons, but on parchment that fluttered gently in the breeze. And from their patient watch, the galaxy gained rare moments of clarity hidden beyond doctrine. Fact 95. The navigators of Tython's sky. High above Tython's forests drifted graceful skyships piloted by Force-sensitive navigators who studied wind, intuition, and celestial rhythm. These vessels, half starcraft, half living sculptures, moved with unusual silence, their wooden frames humming in harmony with the planet's natural energy. The navigators believed movement through the air mirrored the movement of one's spirit, and they guided students on serene journeys above rivers and mountaintops to teach calmness in motion. The breeze carried scents of pine and stone, and the world below shimmered with the glow of early morning suns. For many young initiates, their first flight was a moment of profound peace, a memory that lingered for a lifetime. And from those gentle flights, understanding of the Force deepened like sky meeting horizon. Fact 96. The Sanctuary of the Unseen Path. Hidden deep within a canyon of shifting red rock existed a refuge known as the Sanctuary of the Unseen Path. It welcomed wanderers who had strayed from their destinies, offering a place where they could sit, breathe, and rediscover the quiet center of their being. Monks maintained the sanctuary with soft hands and warm smiles, leaving bowls of water, woven blankets, and lanterns for travelers who arrived in the night. The walls of the canyon glowed softly at sunset, turning gold and violet as shadows stretched across the stone. Here, the Force felt like a calm tide, gentle, patient, and endlessly forgiving. And from its sheltering embrace, countless souls found their way back to themselves. Fact 97. The Echoes Beneath Rakata Prime. Deep beneath the warm waves of Lehan, known also as Rakata Prime, ancient vaults slept beneath shimmering reefs and drifting schools of silver fish. Inside these forgotten chambers, remnants of the infinite empire pulsed faintly, like the slowed heartbeat of a creature long past its prime. Coral crept along metal foundations, weaving nature and technology into gentle harmony over the centuries. Explorers who entered felt the strange, quiet duality of the place, the lingering shadow of a once mighty civilization and the soft peace that had reclaimed it. The Force moved through the water, like a whispered hymn, smoothing sharp memories into mellow echoes. And from those submerged halls, the galaxy remembered that even empires eventually return to stillness. Fact 98. The Swords of the Jal Shay. Across scattered enclaves of the Old Republic lived the Jal Shay, philosophers, artisans, and diplomats attuned to the Force in thoughtful, measured ways. They crafted elegant armor and shimmering crystal talismans, each infused with calm intention rather than aggression. Their swords were often not blades at all, but implements of guidance, staves, amulets, or written doctrines meant to strengthen the spirit. The Jal Shay believed conflict should be softened through understanding, and their teachings resonated with those seeking balance outside the Jedi path. Their workshops glowed with warm firelight as they shaped materials through meditation and breath, crafting items that hummed softly with grounded purpose. And from their gentle craftsmanship, wisdom flowed like quiet rivers into the wider galaxy. Fact 99. The Last Flames of the Warborn Era. As centuries passed, the Old Republic weathered countless trials, wars, schisms, and storms of fear that swept across the stars. Yet with each challenge, the galaxy rediscovered its capacity for renewal. Battlefields, once scarred by fire, grew over with soft grass. Ruins became foundations for new temples and homes, and travelers told stories of resilience beneath lantern-lit skies. The Jedi, though changed by time, continued to uphold peace with open hearts, while ordinary citizens found strength in simple acts of kindness. Slowly, the age of endless conflict gave way to quieter days, like embers fading into gentle warmth. And from that warmth, a new era prepared to dawn, carrying both memory and hope into the endless night. Fact 100. The Force remembers. Across the vast tapestry of the Old Republic's long history, the rise and fall of empires, the whisper of ancient philosophies, the soft footfalls of Jedi, wandering starlit paths, the Force has remained a patient witness. It remembers every triumph and sorrow, every quiet moment of courage, every fragile hope that flickered even when darkness pressed close. Worlds scarred by war grew calm again, and the echoes of great battles softened into distant lullabies carried on solar winds. The Force does not judge these memories. It simply holds them, like a gentle keeper of stories waiting to be retold. And as new generations lift their eyes to the stars, they walk through a galaxy shaped by countless souls before them. And from that endless remembrance, peace finds its way back into the hearts of those who listen. And now, as our long journey through the Old Republic comes to a gentle close, may the Force bring balance to your mind and peace to your dreams. If these stories helped you drift into the stars, I'd be honored if you liked, subscribed, and shared which corner of the galaxy you'd love to fall asleep to next. When you're ready for another quiet voyage, just tap the end screen and let the next tale carry you beneath distant moons, across ancient temples, and into the soft hum of hyperspace. But for now, rest well, traveler. The galaxy is calm. The Force is with you, and the twin suns will rise again when you're ready to wake. Sleep deeply, and may the Force guide your dreams.